Bella Salon and Day Spa, located at 41 West Main Street in Northeast Pennsylvania, proudly supports Chautauqua Sunrise and its volunteers. More information at bellasalonanddayspa.net. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. From the Access Channel 5 studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Channel 5. Continuing the traditions of Senior Report, we are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week, countywide, from 9 to 10 a.m. Join us by calling in live, emailing us, or checking out our social media. And now, from the Channel 5 studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Doc Hamels, and welcome to Chautauqua Sunrise. Well, winter is here, and it's been here for a while. Not bad. I've looked at the sign out there in Mayville, it's Four Corners, and we're nowhere near the record, and I'm okay with that. We've had some cold weather, but you know it's been passable. We haven't had a lot of snow to trudge through. Hey, you know how to drive your dog crazy? I got Max this big yellow ball that squeaks, and it's about the size of a softball. And when the snow is really hard, he loves it. He runs across the snow like it was like an ice rink. He chases that thing, brings it back. Yesterday, the snow was real soft, so I throw it, goes, bloop. And he's running around like a madman trying to find the ball. So anyways, good fun out there. It's cold, but it feels good. It makes you feel energized and invigorated. On that note, keep in mind that here in Chautauqua County, we don't stay in our houses all winter long. We get out there, and there's cross-country skiing, there's snowmobiling. I know a lot of folks are involved with that. A lot of your townships are going to have, thank you, Jeff. You just remind me of his favorite pastime of ice fishing. I see that the lake is froze over, and the folks are out there with their little houses, and I tried it once. It was during the winter of '77, the big storm, and a buddy of mine, Mike, and we went into I think it was the southern, down by Greenhurst. So we got the old logger, and we're in this little shanty, and we're working on trying to cut through the ice. And I'm up, can't even see that whole thing. I'm this far into the ice, up to my shoulder, and that's how thick the ice was there. And we're thinking, all right, we're almost there. We're gonna get some ice fishing. And so we're in this little booth, little building, and we cut the hole, and water just gushes up and fills the whole thing up. And I'm going like, well, that didn't work out very well. So, yeah, something to do during that winter break. But that was a crazy winter. But this winter's nice. Now, I have to be careful how I put this. I understand coming up in February, mid-February, is ice. It doesn't mean ice castle. It's an ice extravaganza. It's a festival in Mayville, and it goes on whether there is an ice castle or not. And so we'll be announcing things on that here pretty soon when we get more information. Our Rotary Club is doing the parking once again, so you're going to see some people that look kind of bluish, and they'll be taking your money. They're Rotarians, trust me. But anyways, it's a lot of fun, and a lot of things going on down there, especially ice sculpture. That's really cool how they carve all that, and it looks like Randy, actually. Yeah. Into horses and bears and cameramen. So anyways, there's a polar bear swim too. So lots of things going on here in Chautauqua County. Check out your local venues, in your own communities. I know Valentine's Day is coming up. We can talk about that now. We're almost into February. I know in Ripley there's going to be a Valentine's Day dance at Meters, I think, right on Valentine's Day. I think it's 14th is a Saturday. Yep. And so kind of good things going on. I want to do a shout out to one of our loyal and famous viewers, Mike Felsman. He wrote to us the other day. So he tells me that he had a special event this week. So Mike, what day is it? It was your birthday. He is somewhere. I never tell anybody his real age. That's my rule of thumb. So he tells me he's between 59 and 61, halfway. 2 more years of retirement. Well, actually, just a little less than 2 years to retirement. So happy birthday, Mike, and keep on watching. And if you have a birthday, an anniversary, you want to tell us something about your local events, they're going to pop up something here, how you can contact us here at the studio, but we'll be happy to share that with folks. You can call us at 753-5225. Thank you. You can Twitter us, you can Facebook us, you can send us a pigeon, you can do whatever you want. Just get us the information. It's all free of charge. We're happy to do it. And in fact, let me do one right now. The Cub Scouts that were here not too long ago, we're going to be announcing this for a while. All you can eat pancake breakfast on March 7th. I know that it's down the road a little bit, but if I keep reminding you, you'll eventually get it on your calendars. It's going to be at Chautauqua Suites from 7:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. and it's benefiting. See, Jana, there's nothing to this talking. You'll get tongue-tied. Cub Scout Pack 126, Mayville, New York. Tickets are $5 a person. So all you can eat pancake breakfast March 7th. Put it on your calendar. I'm going to be announcing it a lot. And I do want to thank the pack. We got this great little thank you card from all the guys that were here and thanking us for their visit. And if you have a club or organization and you want to come by and check us out, we'll be happy to. Just arrange it with the crew here. Just contact us at that contact information. And where am I going to put this? I'll put it over here. And then we'll be happy to do tours. Speaking of tours and things like that, we haven't finalized things, but coming up on February 28th, we are going to be kind of having a line in the sand that will mark the 1,000th, that's hard to say in the morning, 1,000th live Saturday morning TV show here at Access 5. Started with the Senior Report and now continuing with the spin-off of Chautauqua Sunrise. And we're going to be announcing a few things, but we are going to have an opportunity for you to drop by and have a look around, and well, we'll tell you more probably next week. We're finalizing a few things, so mark that on your calendar if you're interested. February 28th, Saturday morning, sometime we'll be letting you know what you can be doing. So now, yesterday, just to share this with you, I had the good fortune of being invited to the Fredonia Rotary Club meeting. Big deal, you think? Well, it was a very special meeting where they invited business people and folks from Rotary and government and so forth. A fellow named Howard Zemsky. Who's Howard? I don't know this name. He was going to speak to Chautauqua County. Vince Horgan, our good friend, county executive, invited him and set this up with the Fredonia Rotary. And Howard represented the governor. The governor had given his State of the State, the State of the State budget meeting and presentation earlier in the week, and it was Howard's job to represent the governor, and he gave a great presentation of what Governor Cuomo and his administration are thinking. Now, I know Chris Burt is listening right now. Chris, I got great news for you because you're always complaining about this, and whenever we have debates here with our local officials, you always ask this question: will there be an improvement in broadband width in Chautauqua County? And there's money been set aside to raise it to something bigger than what it is. I think I wrote down the number 1,000, so I don't know if that means 1,000 feet, 1,000 pounds, or whatever it is, but it's going to be raised so that there's better connectivity across New York State. Of course, when you represent the governor or any other organization, you take some hits and you take questions, and Howard was really good about how he handled things, because he's going to be most likely appointed, he's in the works to be appointed, the chief, the guru, the grand poobah of economic development in New York State. So, who's Howard Zemsky? So I'm thinking, I still don't know who this guy is. Well, it turns out he's from Buffalo, my hometown. He was a big developer of the Larkin Building project in Buffalo. Now, you might not be aware of what the Larkin Building is, but it used to be this huge building with was run down, and it was really dark and grungy. And evidently, he had the vision and the foresight to develop this whole thing, and he's now turned the Larkin Building into Larkin Center, and it's absolutely phenomenal. It's streamlined, it's modern offices and space. There's places outdoors for people to get together for music. There's big chairs to sit around and visit together. It's like a small little village within the city, and he's been doing all this as part of the redevelopment of Buffalo, and he's a mover and shaker up there. And so I left the meeting feeling pretty positive. Now, one of the things that's going to be controversial, and I already know that there's been folks talking about this, is the minimum wage in the next few years is going to raise it to like $10.50. So we're all sitting there going like, how's this going to work? If you're going to pay me more money, that means my profit is going to shrink. Well, he countered this, and take it for what it's worth. I'm just a reporter here on this. The whole concept is they're going to raise the minimum wage, and they're going to drop the New York State taxes and fees and all this, whatever you want to call them, tariffs on small businesses, so that they're going to push the costs down to the business owners on the state side and raise the employee side their ability to make more. As he pointed out, on somebody that's making $10.50 an hour for a 2,000 hour a month, a year, 2,000 hours a year, would still be only making $21,000. But the idea is to take people that are at the lower wage levels and get them above the poverty level. Okay, so you can go out on the websites and you can check out the governor's proposal. It's a proposal, still has to be debated in Albany and stuff like that. So check it out. Speaking of Albany, I used to have Doc's a wall of shame. I'm thinking about bringing it back. Mr. Silver, shame, shame, shame on you. If he's found guilty, he's going to be my next guy on my wall of shame, Randy. I think it might be time to bring that back. Thumbs up from him. Okay. Well, anyways, doggone it. You're in government and you're representing our state, and people know here, I don't care what party you are, okay? If you do it wrong, shame on you. Get arrested, go to jail, get out of government. Wiener, he was on my wall of shame. He got dinged, and he was a Democrat. Silver's a Democrat. I don't care. Republicans are on my wall. Don't do the job. Do it wrong. Do it illegally. Get out. All right? One of the things that ticks me off about Silver is I know that he's held up things in the assembly that had to do with projects around here, especially school issues. Over in Ripley, we were trying the darndest to get some legislation change. But, oh, no, we can't do that, because if we do that up here, then they got to make it happen downstate, too. Well, they could have given us some special home rule legislation or whatever, but I understand very clearly that he was one of the guys that blocked it because the downstate was wagging the tail of the rest of the state. So, anyways, people get what they deserve. And finally, I'm on my little rants here. I don't know about you, but if you go to Europe or you go to different countries and you watch the news, they talk about really serious stuff. They talk about world affairs. They talk about things that are happening in different countries nearby. So I'm sitting watching TV, and it doesn't matter what channel I'm watching. I'm watching the slow deterioration of the country of Yemen, and ISIS and Al-Qaeda and all these horrific situations that are taking place. And I'm kind of like studying this whole thing. I'm really worried about the embassy folks and things like that. And what's the next topic? Out comes Belichick and Brady about deflated footballs. What's wrong with us? And so it's gotten to the point now, I've dedicated myself. If I see anything like that, I just get up, change the channel, because this is stupid. When we put things like deflated footballs before other things, inappropriate in my mind. And I don't know what the news people are thinking. I know it's a big deal. It's American pastime and all that sort of thing. But let's just let the NFL do their business, report it, and be done with it, instead of sitting around weighing footballs and coming up with crazy theories and conspiracy theories. I don't know about you, but I'm tired about that already. Okay, now, we're going to take a break here in a second, but I want to give you a warning. It's like when you see on TV and they say, be warned that the things you're going to see right now may be disturbing. I'm going to tell you right now, all right, if you continue to watch the show today, be prepared to stay with me, because we're going to talk about a topic that really boils my eggs, that really gets me frosted, that ticks me off. And being an educator for over 40 years, this is one of those things that we have addressed and addressed and addressed, and it's been going on for millennia, all right? And we're going to be talking about kids. We're going to be talking about making our children safe in this world, and they're not at times. So if you don't care about kids, go away. Shut the TV off. Flip it to another station. I don't care, because I don't want you to listen. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to take your phone calls. If you want to talk about children and making them safe and making sure that Chautauqua County is a better place for kids, stay tuned, because I got a great guest, and we're going to be talking about a really tough subject. We'll be right back.
I remember the moment clearly.
I'll never forget that moment.
As long as I live.
I realized at that moment, when we first saw the damage, these people really needed us. And I was going to make a difference, right here in my community. Together with local responders, we cleared trees and collapsed walls. We had to get to the family trapped beneath. As a citizen soldier, I made a difference.
Be there for your community at NationalGuard.com.
Okay. I forewarned you, if you're watching right now, you're going to stick with me and you're going to stay all the way through to the end of this show, because this is a hot topic in my mind and I think you should know more about it. If you are a parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle, neighbor, if you're a big brother or sister, or you belong to any organizations or church group, you need to hear what we have to talk about today. Today, I want to welcome Jana McDermott to the show, and good morning, Jana.
Good morning, John. Thanks so much for having me today.
Well, you know, you wrote to me a while ago and said, you know, I really think what you represent in your organization is important, and you invited me to your office, and we sat down for, gosh, it seemed like a good hour, and you had me at hello, okay? I mean, this was an easy show to put together, and you already can tell I'm passionate about these topics when it comes to kids. I've dedicated my entire professional and personal life to working with kids. I got 4 of my own. I got great grandkids. I got grandkids. I mean, I'm about kids and making Chautauqua County a safe place for kids and everybody for that matter. And the topics that we talk about here have a lot to do with that. So this is going to be a serious topic, but we're going to try to look at it from a human level. Okay, we're not going to get real theoretical about things. But before we do that, who are you and why are you here? Jana, where do you come from? Are you from Chautauqua County originally?
I am. I'm a homegrown girl.
Okay.
I was born and raised in Jamestown, New York. Went to Jamestown Community College.
Okay, JCC. I'm an
Yes.
adjunct over there.
Yeah.
Great
Alum,
organization.
Yeah, JCC. I went on to get my degree in sociology from the College of Charleston.
Mm-hmm.
And after I left college, I joined the Peace Corps
Oh my gosh.
and served in Jamaica in the West Indies for 2 years as a volunteer, and then I was hired to train volunteers in Jamaica, and I lived there about another 15 years after that.
You were in Jamaica for 15 years? Wow. Yeah, just a quick note, I had applied to be in the Peace Corps right out of college, and I got all the paperwork right up to the point where I was supposed to pick where I wanted to go, and the choices they gave me were like, you may not come back, and I didn't pull the trigger at that time. But
Yeah.
that was probably 1973, somewhere
Okay.
there. So
Okay.
the world was a little crazy. Still is.
Still
But
is.
good for you. Good for you. So you had a lot of experience working with folks down in Jamaica, and I'm sure you brought a lot of that experience here. So then when you came back to Chautauqua County, what happened next?
Well, I started working in the field of child abuse. I worked with the Center for Family Unity, which was an exchange program. The exchange clubs had that program, and I was a volunteer coordinator. After that, I worked with the Salvation Army's Domestic Violence Rape Crisis Program, and I did prevention education in school. And I think that's about the time I met you.
Right.
We were working on the Ophelia
Ophelia Project,
project
right.
at Southwestern and Ripley and
I'm
Westfield.
trying to think what life I was living at that point. Was I a superintendent or was I at BOCES? It's got to go back to around 2002-ish, somewhere in there.
Right.
Wow, that's like 12, 13 years ago.
Yeah. And then in 2007, the district attorney wrote a grant.
Jim, subject?
Oh, Dave Foley.
Dave Foley. All right,
Dave
Jim was already
Foley,
gone by then.
2007.
Okay.
His office wrote a grant to create a child advocacy center in Chautauqua County.
Excellent.
And I'm very thankful that they hired me. And we started out in a little cubicle in the DA's office. And we have now grown to having 2 locations in Chautauqua County, where we have our multidisciplinary team and our child advocacy program.
So at both ends of the county?
Yep.
Okay.
We found that the transportation issue is certainly needs to be addressed. So one of the ways we do that is by having more convenient locations.
Okay, so just one point I want to find out, because people always ask this question: who pays the bill in the end? Where does the money come from?
Well, we all do. About 70% of our budget comes from government grants.
Okay. Federal and state?
Federal and state grants.
Okay.
The rest of our money comes from local contributors and foundations.
Okay. So it's a combination of funding, which
Absolutely.
keeps you on your toes.
Right.
You know, I've been on lots of not-for-profit boards, and I know that it's a never-ending cycle, and it's a shame, isn't it?
It's a true challenge, because at one year we can get $100,000 from the government and the other $150,000. So it's hard to have
Just
staff.
and that's a lot of money.
Exactly. It can
$50,000 is a
swing.
lot to a not-for-profit. All right. So today we're going to talk about child advocacy, and when you hear of child advocacy, you think, okay, we're here for kids, but it's a lot more than that. It's a deeper subject, right?
Absolutely. It's the epidemic that nobody really wants to talk about, and it's happening. It is
Right.
so prevalent.
We've talked about heroin on this show, and we've talked about poverty to some degree. We've had people here with Chautauqua Opportunities. In fact, last week we were just talking about Head Start and so forth. So this is another social issue that we need to address. So why don't you just jump right in and let's talk about what's the elephant in the room is child abuse.
Well, child abuse is likely the most prevalent health problem that children face today, with the most serious array of consequences.
You said it was a health issue.
It is a health issue.
You can't see it.
You can't see it. But there's mental health, physical, psychological, emotional. All of those things contribute to a child's when they experience a trauma. And the consequences, I mean, we're looking at drug addiction, we're looking at using drugs to cope with the pain, we're looking at depression, obesity, cutting, suicide, all of those kinds of consequences from children who have experienced trauma. There's research out called the ACEs study. It's Adverse Childhood Experiences. It was done by Kaiser Permanente years ago, and they found out that children who experienced adverse childhood experiences such as sexual abuse and maltreatment are far more likely to have health issues in later life, suffer more health issues.
So if something happens to a child, and we'll get into that a little bit more here in a minute, and you called it trauma, and this goes on untreated, would that be a good way of putting this? Unaddressed?
Unaddressed.
This leads to lifelong issues later on.
Absolutely.
That's what you're saying.
Actual brain functioning is affected by trauma in early life. So there's science out there that says that trauma affects how your brain develops, early development of your brain. So when you don't live in a safe environment as a child, when you're afraid of how you're going to be treated or fear that something's going to happen to you, that constant fear gets that adrenaline going and affects structures in your brain.
There's been a lot of brain study on young folks, and I know even with alcoholism that young drinkers, they basically ruin a part of the brain, and that's a lifelong issue. So you're saying trauma does basically the same thing. And this is the thing that I just find so fascinating, and that's why I'm so glad you're here today, is that we're talking about something that happens to us that lasts. We talk a lot about folks coming back from war.
Right.
It's the same
PTSD
kind of like for children,
symptoms, absolutely.
right? Okay. So I remember the jokes that were going around maybe 25 years ago when we were starting to talk about child abuse at the school level, where the kid would come to school and say, my mom spanked me and I want to report her.
Yeah, that
Where
just...
does this, how do you define this?
That minimizes, the real issue. We're looking at 11 to 13-year-old girls being raped by the adult male in their home every week for 5 years. I'm talking about 4-year-olds being sodomized. We're talking about 18-month-old children with gonorrhea. That's what we're looking at.
But the child that comes to school and says, my mother spanked me, is still something that people have to look at, though, because sometimes that's just the tip of the iceberg, right?
Well, then you're talking about mandated reporting.
Yeah.
If you have reasonable cause to suspect that a child is being abused, it's our obligation as adults to ask for a professional service to be conducted. I always say you're not accusing anyone, you're just asking for an investigation to happen.
Okay. And so the little child comes to school and says something happened at home. Okay. So as professionals, the nurse, the teacher, it could be the minister at their church, whatever, wherever this child says these things, they're trained to know the difference. They're trained to know whether to call child protection, or how does that work? How do they make that decision, do you think?
Training is crucial.
Okay.
We can't get enough training. As a matter of fact, we provide training to teachers, to the community, on how to prevent child sexual abuse, how to minimize it, how to talk about it, how to react responsibly, and through our Stewards of Children training. So that is one way that teachers, community members, youth groups, workers, parents, church members can get this kind of training. It gives them the confidence that they need and the knowledge to make that decision, to make that call.
Okay, so we'll get back to this. Let's take training and we'll set it to the side. We'll park it for a little bit, because where I was going with that is that sometimes it's a hair-splitting decision whether this is a real case or not. But when you're a mandated reporter, there really isn't any choice.
No.
But sometimes things are called in and it turns out the kid didn't get a birthday present and they were just coming up with some cockamamie scheme. And I've experienced this. But then there's been times where kids have said things and it was like, holy mackerel. But let's put training. I got it written down. We'll be back to that.
Okay.
All right. We've been talking a little bit just in general about child abuse and sexual abuse and things like that. Let's bring it to the ground level. Let's bring it to Chautauqua County. What's going on in our county, not nationally, not in the world, because we talk about the sex trade, we talk about children being abducted and so forth, but let's talk about right here. What's going on?
Well, our county has one of the highest rates of reports of abuse and maltreatment in the state.
One of the highest?
One of the highest rates in the state, absolutely. Over 420 children were referred to the Child Advocacy Program last year.
420?
420 children referred.
There's 135,000 people live in our county. 420. That's like unbelievable.
Yeah, we've serviced or provided services to over 2,000 kids since we've been around. But the statistic that really gets me is it's a national statistic, but applies to us. It's 1 in 10 children will be sexually abused before their 18th birthday. So if you put that out in Chautauqua County terms, we're looking at probably 30,000 kids under the age of 18. So 10% of that, we're looking at 3,000 kids being sexually abused before their 18th birthday. That's enough to fill at least 41 school buses. This problem is more prevalent than any other health problem for kids. And by and large, we're not really addressing it. Adults are very uncomfortable knowing about child sexual abuse, talking about it, and reacting appropriately. to it. It's almost as if you've heard of children being groomed in order to abuse them. We as a culture have been groomed to believe that no one does this, to believe that this is a good person and they would never do that. They can't be a good person and do that. They can. Okay, I talked to someone in our community the other day who knew Sandusky and said,
I can't believe you read my mind. It was just I just thought,
yeah,
Pennsylvania State.
Yeah, it was a kid who went to Penn State football camp all his life and said, I knew this guy. I would have never thought that happened. I can't believe it's happening in our community, but it is.
420 cases last year, potentially 3,000 statistically. So, if I got this right, 2,500 cases weren't reported statistically.
No, didn't get referred to the child advocacy
That's what I'm saying.
program.
That's what I'm saying is you don't know about the other 2,500.
Right. Right, and that's the tip of the iceberg. Majority of kids don't disclose. The majority of cases aren't reported. So we know there's a lot more out there.
I'm sort of reeling inside right now because I had no idea the numbers were that large. Okay.
It is a gigantic problem.
All right, let's give me a second here to get my wits about me. Folks, you're watching Chautauqua Sunrise. My guest is Jana McDermott. We're talking about a heavy duty topic here. And if you do want to call in, we got a call right now, and we're going to get to that in a second. But if you do have a question for Jana, or you want to leave your phone number, and she can call you back later. If it's a private situation, we're happy to do that. So give us a call at 753-5225. Okay, we're talking about a hot topic here. Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, John. Good morning, Jana.
Dave.
I guess one of my questions, with sexual abuse, just child abuse, is it more of a normal family, like real father, real mother, or is it like, say, mother's divorced, she's got a boyfriend living with her, the father's divorced, he's got a girlfriend living with him? Is there any statistics, that show that it's more one or the other?
That's a good question.
Well, we see it across the board. Socioeconomic status, we see it with all different kinds of families, all different kinds of cultures. Statistically speaking, for our experience, anecdotally, many times it's a situation where there are homes that have been separated for some reason between the parents. So we do see that more. And I don't have stats on that, but I could say pretty confidently, anecdotally, that that's what we see.
Okay, thank you. I just wondered, nowadays it's more divorced than non-divorced people, and it seems, and I just wondered, one's jealous of the kids, or the girl or guy just picked, a partner that's just abusive, and they don't care because they're more worried about themselves than they are the kids.
It could very well be, I would suppose.
Yeah.
But you can't say that about.
I'm not going to say that, but 90% of the kids know their abuser. It's someone they know, trust, either they live in their home or they're a family friend. So the majority of abusers are people that you know.
Wow.
Okay. Another thing, local schools, I do know of one that had a teacher that was sexually abusing students. I think it was like special education. They finally got caught, but it's just sort of weird, you send your kid to school, expect, protection, and, school security, and they're still being sexually abused.
Well, it goes right back to what Jana was talking about with Sandusky, a well-known coach, a teacher, if you will. And so there's a bad apple in every basket, regardless of the professional area that they're in.
Right, but the majority of people at schools are protective of your children. But the important thing, it's very much like AIDS. We need universal precautions. We need everyone to have an awareness and an understanding of how the dynamics of sexual abuse happen, so that when that one or two people in that community do use children for their own sexual gratification, that we can have a handle on that we can do something about it.
Right.
Okay, well, thank you much. I guess the last thing I'm going to leave you with now, if a child's being sexually abused or disabused, and they bring them to your advocacy program. How do you help them? I mean, can you get them away from the abuser right away, or is it a long government process? Use CPS and stuff, or?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. I mean, and what he's saying is what happens when someone comes to the child advocacy program. The majority of our cases that come are referred from Health and Human Services, the Child Protective Services, and law enforcement. So when they come to our center, they're coming for advocacy, because that family is now in crisis. There's an allegation. They don't know what's going to happen or what the procedure is. So we bring them, all of those services that need to contact that children, whether it's a district attorney, law enforcement, CPS, medical, and mental health. Instead of the family having to go to all of those different places, we bring all of those services to one place. And that's what happens at the Child Advocacy Program. So we connect them with an advocate, their own advocate, and a counselor as well, and a medical exam. So those are the services that we provide on site. And we all work together, we share information so that we can reduce the amount of times that a child has to tell what happened to them. So we really work as a team, and you have to really give a shout out to the DA's office, all our law enforcement workers, our Child Protective Services workers. They're the ones that came together to make this child advocacy program happen.
Okay. Wow.
Did that answer his question? What was his name?
The caller didn't say.
He's gone? Okay.
Okay. Well, folks, that's how you do it here. If you have a question, a burning desire to know more information, call us at our number, 753-5225. Okay. I'm going to ask you a very difficult question, and we'll treat it the best we can to get the answers out. Okay. We talk in broad terms about abuse and so forth, and we talk about sexual abuse. Okay. Can you've talked about some really horrific end results of sexual abuse and so forth. What is the definition of sexual abuse? I know that's a tough question, but for people, they'll say, well, I think something's going on with Uncle so-and-so or Aunt so-and-so or the cousins or something's going on. I mean, can you give us a definition to start the conversation in the community?
Well, sexual abuse encompasses a number of behaviors. It can be anywhere from touching over the clothing to full penetration.
Okay.
It can be showing your body parts to a child. It can be showing them pornography.
Okay.
It can be touching. It can be having them touch you, you touch them. It's all about the point of the interaction is that it's for the sexual gratification of that adult.
And that's why I asked the question, because people don't realize that maybe somebody is showing pornography, and they say, well, we're just showing them pictures. It's not right. It's not okay.
It's a crime.
It's a crime. Or having them take the child's picture or whatever.
And display it on the website.
Okay, and when I hear things on the news and things like that, or these child pornography rings, international, it's shocking. It's just unfathomable how large it is. Okay, we have another caller.
Okay.
Ready for another one?
What's her name?
We'll find out. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. This is Linda Spalding.
It's Linda.
Good morning, Jana. It's so great to see you on the show, and thank you for sharing so much information with us. It's very important to learn all these things. Good morning, Doc. I have a couple of questions about your topic, and one is there a connection between substance abuse and the act of the child sexual abuse? And secondly, is it true that most abusers were abused as children?
The cycle of abuse.
Okay, first question. My answer to your first question, Absolutely, there's a connection between substance abuse and early trauma or sexual abuse. People use substances to either not feel or to feel better, and when you're experiencing trauma, you will use whatever you can to cope with the pain that you're experiencing. And I think the statistics are as high as 60 to 70% of people in drug and alcohol rehab programs have had some sexual abuse in their past.
They were abused, but they're not the abusers.
No. So her second question, say that again, her second question?
The second question is it true that most child abusers were abused as children?
Okay. So statistics say, yes, many abusers were abused, but it does not support the fact that if you were abused, that you're going to grow up to be an abuser. So I think it's important to distinguish between those two correlations.
Yes. Now, I have another question. Is there a connection with substance abuse with the perpetrator, the one who's committing the act of child abuse? Do they take alcohol, extreme amounts of alcohol, or drugs before they engage in this act?
It's not my experience that I've seen any articles that say that. It's really about power and control and the gratification that they get using the child for their benefit. The majority of these people are everyday walking around kind of folks that you would see, and you would never imagine what happens in their homes.
Okay. Linda, does that answer your questions?
Yes, it does, and thank you very much. The dogs are chirping in here.
Yeah, I was on heard it in my ear and oh my gosh, putting their 2 cents in.
Yes, well, thank you. This has been very informative. I'd also like to mention that there are services with the Chautauqua County Office for the Aging, counseling, and various types of assistance for the seniors. Also, we have computer training at the Patterson Library, the Generations Online introductory training. Alan Evans is the peer coach. Patterson Library, we also have it in Dunkirk at the Dunkirk Free Library, in Brockton at the Brockton Library, and also in Jamestown at the Office for the Aging.
Okay, Linda.
And the number?
Okay.
753-4471.
Okay, terrific. Well, thanks for all the good work you do for our seniors. And Linda, well, maybe you can comment on this, and I'll just do a little aside here, one more announcement that goes right along with this. Your boss, Marianne Spanos, Dr. Spanos, sent me an email the other day that there's a mental health substance abuse community resource training.
Yes.
That's on February 26th from 10 to 12 a.m. And it's going to be at the Park United Methodist Church in Sinclairville. And I'm assuming this is for seniors to be aware of these things?
Yes.
Okay. So it kind of goes right along with what we're talking about with child abuse. If there's other abuses going on, there's another training that people might want to get involved with. Okay?
Well, thank you very much.
All right. You take care, Linda. Have a nice weekend.
You have a great weekend.
Okay.
I want to leave him on a hopeful note, before we end.
Yeah.
We do have this epidemic of children who have experienced this early trauma, but we also have hope at the Child Advocacy Program. We have trained a number of mental health therapists in a particular type of therapy for these children. It's called trauma-focused cognitive behavior therapy, and it's a proven, it's evidence supported, and it's a brief intervention that teaches kids the kind of skills they need to manage some of the emotions that they have, how to understand, how to tell their story, because being able to tell what happened to them without the blaming and the shaming is crucially important for these children, and for them to be told it wasn't their fault. It's never a child's fault. They need to hear that from every adult that comes in contact with kids.
And there's a common thread, based on my experiences in research and so forth in education, is let's take away the first word and just call anybody that's abused, they're made to feel guilty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Regardless of the abuse. So, and any trauma that you feel like something I did,
Yeah.
and they carry that with them.
That's self-esteem.
Yeah.
I deserve to be treated like that. I don't deserve any better. And they make decisions for the rest of their lives, oftentimes based on that. So when they come to the Child Advocacy Program, we treat them like royalty. We are glad they're here. We have donations from the community. We have a bunch of quilters who make lap quilts, and every child that leaves our center leaves with a lap quilt. And they carry those for years afterwards, and they really love those. So, thanks to those quilters out there. I think it's Westfield, and there's a whole bunch of quilters out there. We really appreciate that. When children come, they get treated nicely. It's a child-friendly place. I don't know if you've shown any of the pictures from our center.
What would you like to look at? We've got different ones. Well, I'll tell you what. Chris, why don't you just pop up a couple things and we'll talk about them as we go along. So what are we looking at here,
So,
Jana?
well, we're just looking at one of our child-friendly counseling rooms that we have. We want kids to feel at home. We want the adults to feel at home. Trying to reduce the stress that goes along with investigating and intervening with a sexual abuse case is what CAP is all about. Our mission is to end child abuse in Chautauqua County. That's a big, bold, audacious mission, and we need more of our community members to join us to achieve this. It is very achievable.
Okay, let's go to slide 13. Oh, there we go. He jumped for me. Thanks.
So that's our reception room.
Looks very
welcoming, homey. We're going to have a similar location in Fredonia. We just opened an office there. We're just getting ready, and that's beautiful. I was looking at the mural on the wall by Helen.
There's another one.
Yeah. It's another one of our child-friendly rooms where kids can feel comfortable and safe to tell what happened to them. And we have a professional person who does the interview that's non-leading, non-suggestive, developmentally appropriate for each child that comes.
Oh, wow. All right, so let me roll back our tape a little bit. So if a child discloses something and the person that they disclosed their abuse to, they come to your agency and you accept them for what they are, you listen to their story, you validate them, and then you assist them with services.
Well, let me back up a little bit.
What have I missed?
From the initial outcry, the professionals who respond to these cases are extremely important, and that is our law enforcement officers and our child protective services. So they go out, take an initial assessment, and assess safety.
Oh, so they don't come right to your agency?
No, they start on where those children are. They go and meet them where they are and find out if they're safe.
So who do these folks that are watching right now say, I need to contact?
They need to call the 800 number to get professional services, and that's on our flyer right there, 1-800.
I'll let you read it. I have my glasses on at the moment.
342-3720. If you have any suspicion,
one more time, slower.
1-800-342-3720.
And this is the
New York State Child Abuse Hotline.
Okay.
So that will get your law enforcement or your child protective services to do a professional investigation. We are all partners in this. So when they need to do an interview, they will set up an appointment with that child. They'll come to our center, a law enforcement CPS, and they'll contact the DA's office, and we will do an interview there. While the interview is happening, we'll do some advocacy and crisis counseling with the non-offending caregivers. We will connect them to our mental health counselors on site and set up a medical exam. And we do medical exams for all kids. And it's not because we're going to find, majority of the time you don't find any physical evidence, but it's to reassure the child that they're okay, that they're healthy, they're normal, things are fine, okay? And it reassures the parent or the non-offending caregiver that they did everything they could at the time.
What would stop somebody from calling the hotline?
Well, a lot of people are uneasy.
Because evidently 2,500 cases are not being reported.
No, many cases are not being reported. People are uneasy, they're unsure. It's something new that people don't normally do. It's just like wearing seat belts, it's just like recycling. There's change that feels uneasy. I can remember trying to use my cruise control. I never wanted to use cruise control on my car. It scared me. It made me feel uneasy.
Right.
It's the same kind of thing, learning to make a hotline call.
It's a new system. You know.
It's new. I didn't like it, but now I've learned it, and I realize how valuable it is, and it saves gas, helps me not to get a speeding ticket.
Okay.
And reporting child abuse, it may feel uncomfortable at first, and actually, again, you're not making an allegation. You're just asking for a professional service to be conducted to ensure a child's safety. If you reframe it like that, you'll see yourself as part of the solution.
Okay, so if you're watching right now and you're concerned about a situation that deals with a child, call the number. If you're afraid,
call us.
Call them, and
call
they'll
the
help
Child
you.
Advocacy Program. We have 2 advocates that are just phenomenal.
Okay, and that's what your title is, Child Advocacy.
Absolutely.
You're there if a parent is stuck or afraid that you
or
can
a
help.
teacher or anyone who wants to call in and run a case by us. We will give you our best, most experienced response that we can at the time.
And schools have their systems all set up that usually they go through certain protocols and they contact folks. But if you're a teacher or educator, call them for more information or have some training brought in. Okay. We've talked about after the fact. The abuse has already taken place. Do you have any words of wisdom for prevention?
Absolutely. Prevention is the other aspect of the Child Advocacy Program that is so important. We're never going to arrest our way out of this problem.
Right.
We need to change a culture that has allowed or looked the other way or can't believe it happens. We've got to change that culture to one that is actively protective of our children, one that actively minimizes chances for children to be abused. And it's not hard. It can be done.
Okay, so what do we do?
So we have this program. It's called Stewards of Children. It's a nationally recognized program. It's an award-winning program. It only takes 2 hours of your time and $10 to pay for this fabulous workbook that gives you all the stats, the dynamics, the prevalence of child abuse. It empowers you to be able to have confidence in protecting children and reacting responsibly, how to talk about it. It talks about the 5 steps of prevention.
Okay, Chris has popped something up right now. Keep that up there, Chris. Okay, when Jen and I talked, she was telling me about this program. I said, okay, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is because this is the kind of person I am. I'm a stand-up guy. All right? So between then and today, I worked with her office, Karen Yaversky. And we put together a training on March 4th at the YWCA in Westfield. And I'm inviting all of you that are watching this show today to join us. Contact their office, or how are we going to do this?
Yeah, you can contact our office at 338-9844 and register for the training. You can pay at the training, but just let us know how many people are going to come.
Or you can call me here at the studio or whatever, but I'm going to go. All right, and I've contacted my Rotary Club, and we're going to be asking our members to come because our Rotarians and other civic organizations are there for kids. So if you're any member of an organization, a church group or whatever, great training. We're going to provide some light refreshments. It's 2.5 hour training. March 4th, I'm going to be there. So I'm going to see how many of you are going to show up. And we're going to be bringing this up for the next few weeks until the training. So anyways, that's our part here at Chautauqua Sunrise.
That's great. And if you can't make the March 4th event, call our office. You get 5 or more people together, we will come and do a training for your group. Any place,
gather and they will come.
anytime. We have done night shift at Cummins Engine Plant. We've been able to do at workplaces. We've been able to do that at a bar, at schools, at churches, anywhere where there are 5 or more people who want to take this absolutely empowering training. It's an opportunity for you to see adults who have been victims. You're going to meet experts in the field, and you are going to walk away with more knowledge and more conviction about protecting children in our community. And we're going to end child abuse in Chautauqua County, and we have already done it for a number of children who have been through our program. So it's not impossible. we can do it.
Okay, I just got a question in my head that comes through my earpiece here. I'm not hearing things. The question was, what about if you're just one person and you want this training and you're not associated with a group or whatever?
Then you call our office and give us your email address. We will let you know when the next trainings are. I think our next training is actually going to be in Frewsburg.
Okay.
The superintendent of schools there has organized a training for her staff.
Okay,
so we're
I know
real
her.
excited about.
Okay, great. Okay, and we do have one more slide that we are going to pop up here. 5 steps. Tell us about this.
Those are the 5 steps you're going to learn at the Stewards of Children training. Learn the facts about, we talked about this before, learn the facts about the dynamics, the prevalence of child abuse, minimizing the opportunities, and that could be anything from putting windows on your door to letting people know that you're aware of how important it is to be observable, activities with adults, and interruptible. Recognize the signs. Sometimes the signs are difficult. Sometimes there are no signs. But become familiar with the signs that a child may be being abused, and then learn how to react responsibly. A lot of us get very angry when we hear about these cases, and
punch 'em out.
we don't want to believe it. So it'll increase your comfort level reacting both to children and to other adults as you're explaining what you've learned.
Okay. And so today we're just touching the iceberg,
Tip
the
of the
iceberg here. So this training is going to go into great depth, and that's once again that's going to be on March 4th in Westfield. And then we talked about funding earlier today, and so you've got something coming up. Look at that; they've got this really fancy slide out there.
Oh, look at that!
Yeah.
Cheryl Waterman makes our graphics, and she just does a great job.
So tell us about this.
About 5 years ago, we decided we wanted to have a signature event, and other child advocacy centers, there's about 750 throughout the nation, had diamond dinners, and they gave away a diamond to someone to say, our children are even more important than diamonds. So we asked someone from the community to donate a diamond, and we give away the diamond to one lucky ticket holder. So it's a special event, and we have a committee that's been working since November on creating this event. And it's an auction, it's a dinner auction, and we have Chuck Ludwig doing a live auction, we have silent auction. We just have a really good time seeing all the people together who care about this program and want to support it.
And I have heard that you have spared no expense to bring a celebrity Masters of Ceremony.
We are very fortunate. Historically, Andrew Hill has been our MC. Has been our MC, but he's moved away, and we would love to have you.
I'm signed up. I'm there.
He's
I'm
there.
Be there.
We're excited.
I'm going to wear a tie that day.
There will be ties on some people. It will be a fun event, and this year it's going to be at the Athenaeum in the Chautauqua Institution.
I can do Athenaeum. I've spent many meetings there.
So we're real excited. We are looking for sponsors because that's how we make our money.
Sure.
We do have sponsors from last year, Cummins, DFT, Liberty Wineries. We have some great sponsors.
Great.
But we're looking for some more sponsors, and we're also looking for auction items. So if you have any of those,
let us. And again, you can let us know here at the station if you lose track of this. But you can watch this show over and over and over again on YouTube, and it'll be posted sometime tomorrow. Jana, we've got 49 seconds left of the show. So I'm going to be quiet. Look at the camera. Whatever you want. Tell people what they should know.
I guess I want you to know that there is hope and healing for children and adults through the Child Advocacy Program, and we need your support. And if you would like to volunteer or donate, do not hesitate to call me. We'd like to give you a tour of the center and see exactly what we do.
Awesome. Jana, thanks for coming in. This is a tough topic, but I tackle tough topics. And if you're out there and you're hurting, or if you need information, give us a call. Hey, I'm Doc Hamels. We'll see you again next Saturday. Thanks for being my guest. Y'all be well and take care of those children.